Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending my third episode of Legends of the Game. And do I have a legend for you? I promised you last week that I would have Dr. Richardson. And as you can see on the screen, there she is. Dot, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. I've known you for 20 years, but
wow.
I'm still it's been that long, and I am still a huge fan of yours.
Thank you.
I've watched you play. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for thinking of me, Chris. I'm excited you just got done doing a piece on Joan Joyce. That's a legend of the game.
She is a legend of the game, and one of the memories that she talked about was you
What?
hitting off of her when you were 14 years old. Do you remember that?
I do, and it was actually 13. So I do remember.
Years old?
Listen, you can tell when somebody is great is when you remember getting a hit off of them, okay?
Yes. Well, Joan remembers you.
You also talked to Margie Wright, right?
I did talk to Margie Wright. I watched all three of you play. I actually played in several of the same tournaments that you played in, but our teams never crossed the same path. So I'm very disappointed in that. But I watched as many games as I can of yours. I could take the whole 30 minutes to introduce you with all of your accomplishments.
Then we'll lose viewership.
Yeah, they need to know, Dot. I mean, Olympic gold medalist 2 times?
96, yes. 2000, yes.
Yes, 96 and 2000. I was at every game in 96.
Awesome.
How many All-American? 4?
What, for
college
or travel ball?
Travel ball.
15, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, travel ball, I can't even count that high.
Yeah.
And right now, you're the head coach at Liberty University.
Absolutely.
And you've been there for how long now?
7 years. Can you believe it?
No, I can't believe you've been there for 7 years. It seems like yesterday. My first question, and I don't know how you're going to answer it. What's your favorite memory of softball? What's your favorite memory of softball?
Okay, that is a loaded question because you already introduced one of them. I remember I was 13 years of age when I made the Orlando Rebels team. That's a women's major team.
Right.
And my parents would always say, I can't believe we let you at 13. The average age of the team was about 25, 26.
Right.
Travel like we did in the summers to go and play. And one of the trips brought us to Stratford, Connecticut. And that's where I faced Joan Joyce and her teammates of Irene Shea, Sharon Backus, Willie Rose. I mean, the legends in the game that you got to get to. And I know you will. But my first at bat, yes, I got to base it at the middle as a leadoff batter. And I remember being on first base, looking over to the dugout to Marge Ricker, the head coach at third base, to get a signal. I didn't think anything about it. She was just like, what? Like that. And I looked in the dugout and everyone was like, what? Because I didn't realize the legend that I had just was at bat against.
You didn't realize you weren't supposed to hit off of her, did you?
Exactly. And there was probably, I'm not kidding, 4,500, 5,000 people watching in the Stratford Stadium. It was just so electric, electric. And here I got a hit, and I can tell you what greatness is. Because there are players, particularly pitchers, if someone gets a hit off them, they crumble.
Right.
But not the legends. What Joan Joyce did from that moment on has struck out everybody the rest of the game. I mean, that's why I've always thought, when you're playing the best of the best, you got to get them quick. You got to do it quick.
Right.
Because when they get in the groove, forget about it. And that's why I try to always train myself to be ready from the first moment I stepped on the field to warm up. So I was never in a situation of, well, I just got to get ready, kind of, and then here's the first pitch. I mean, you got to be ready.
Yeah.
That was a big moment. You mentioned it, but there are so many. When I was first discovered, when I was 10 years of age, being asked to play baseball, when they saw me pitch to my big brother outside of the field before his game to break in his new catcher's mitt.
Right.
And the coach said, wow, we what a great arm. We'd love for you to play on our Little League softball team, baseball team. And he said, well, we'll have to cut your hair short and give you a boy's name. We'll have to call you Bob. I literally would have had to disguise myself as a boy in order to play Little League baseball. A sport I loved, a sport I was pretty decent at, right?
Right.
The boys would pick me up first in games, pick me first for pickup games after school, but girls were not allowed to play. So I can tell you that I know, Chris, without a doubt, that God has a sense of humor. Because years later, I married a Bob, right?
I was going to mention that.
But that was a moment because God taught me so much at that particular moment of my life. Because how bad I wanted it, it didn't feel right.
Right.
So I said, sir, thank you, but no thank you. If I have to hide who I am, I just don't feel it's right. So I thanked him and I moved on. And 30 minutes later, playing baseball catch with a friend of mine, another coach saw me, a softball coach, told me to take a few ground balls and said, how would you like to play on my fast pitch softball team? And I just fell in love from that moment on.
Legend was created.
Felt like I belonged with the Union Park Jets. And, another year later, I was the back row for the Rebels and got a chance to play in a game. And I guess coach liked what she saw. And so at 13, became the youngest girl ever to play women's majors. But I can tell you a secret. Margie Wright might have been 12. I don't know if you asked her that.
I didn't ask her age, but she does have a similar story that you have.
She might have lied about her age. I think she told me you had to be 14 at the time.
Yeah,
that's why. When I was 13, they dropped the rule. But I think she might have been 12, she said. So interesting.
I'll have to call her.
On the books. But the big thing is this. These are my memories that I'm just going to flash through really fast. 13 years of age, playing against the legends of the games. You have mentioned a few of them. I saw the last wooden bat to be used in our sport. I saw the first white metal cleats ever to be worn.
Right.
At 17, I made my first USA softball team. You talk about a memory there. Being at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs and being named to that squad and winning a Pan American gold medal for the United States of America. I remember the first NCAA championship ever offered to women in sport. Happened to be blessed to be on UCLA's team to defeat Fresno State. There you go with Margie.
I was going to say, you have a lot with Margie.
Right there. To win the first ever to open the doors for women to be recognized along with men through a sports organization in college was awesome. 5 world championships, 5 Pan American games. You mentioned, the 2 Olympic gold medals and getting a great education, becoming a doctor, a medical doctor, an orthopedic surgeon. The sport has opened a lot of doors, traveling the world, Chris. I mean, Japan twice, China, Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia 4 times, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Holland, England, Canada, Argentina, playing the sport I love and sport that has, just become such a major part of my life. And when a specific moment you have to say without a doubt is winning the first ever Olympic gold medal for our country at the first Olympics to host us as a sport of softball. And in the biggest athletic moment of my life after we had received that Olympic gold medal and seeing my teammates wearing the gold around their neck as well, to imagine, all of us turning and seeing the American flag being raised above all others in right field, above those bleachers. Remember how high they were, right?
Yes, they were. So
it took a while for the flag to get there, and all of a sudden you see it raised up and you hear the national anthem, and I tell you, I bawled my eyes out.
Yes, you did.
And Chris, it wasn't because of what I had done, living a dream I'd had as a 7-year-old girl after seeing the Olympics for the first time, 27 years later, for that to become the reality, the dream to become a reality. But in the biggest athletic moment of my life, I have to tell you, I was overwhelmed because I just felt so small.
Really?
I was just so humbled because I realized we were the 15 chosen to represent all who ever dreamt of it and who were deserving of being Olympians. And you have interviewed some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Joan Joyce is an Olympian. Margie Wright. I can go on and on, but they were never given the opportunity. So in your broadcast today, you know, God has given each of you amazing gifts and opportunities. And I pray that you seek him and know that your gifts are meant to be shared, and trust him, because here I was as a girl, not able to play unless I disguised myself as a boy,
Right.
to where all of a sudden national championships at the women's major level, you know, to NCAA World Series championship, to Pan American World Championship gold, to 2 Olympic gold medals. I mean, it's just amazing. We had opened the door for so many, and that's what was so overwhelming, to see the past and the future collide in that Olympic moment.
Well, softball exploded after 96.
Yeah.
And we talked about before we went on air how important it is for me, for our younger athletes to know you, just for the fact of what you just said, of how small you felt on the biggest stage of softball. But I have 2 memories of you. I have a jillion memories of you, Dot, but 2 that really always stick out to me. A tournament that you were playing in, that my team was also in, and as I was walking into the stadium, I could hear you. And that is the one thing I would appreciate, that I would say I appreciated about you. You played. You played all out, every pitch, every game, every inning, and it didn't, you were the loudest person on the field. What made you become that? Was that just Dot Richardson?
Well, when you have been denied an opportunity to express the gifts God's given you, and for me, it was in sport, to all of a sudden realize that you have it now, you will never, ever take anything for granted. Every moment I got to put my cleats on and practice or a game, and I was there. I was all in. I was feeling the Lord's pleasure. I don't know how else to describe it. You know, like when I have a saying, you know, it's be one with the ball, right? One with the ball. What does that mean? It took a number of years to get to that point where you always have the butterflies, but they don't distract you, right? You're focused, you're zoned in. And it's that feeling, you guys, of just nothing else exists but the ball. Offense, defense. You realize that you have a purpose. All of us have a purpose on the team, right? I'm 5 foot, 4.5, and I have teammates that have been 6'3". I can't do what she can do, but I realize she can't do what I can do. That's right? So all of us, just like the body of Christ, we all have a purpose, not one more important than another. And so I tell you what, if I think the biggest compliment for me would be that anyone that I played with on the team as teammates, or even opponents that I faced, if they ever said that I played better because Dot was on the field with me, that would be the best compliment I could ever get. Because I believed in every single one of my teammates. I respected every opponent I played, and the battle was on, right? It was on, let's see if we can each reach our full potential and let the better team win.
That's right.
Right?
Well, I think you made people play better just being in the same tournament, because you motivated me. So I can't imagine I was the only person, right? Just to hear you play without fear. Mm-hmm. You played without fear, and you could hear it.
Amen.
And that was motivating to me.
Because you know why, Chris?
Why?
Or it didn't define me. Right?
The
outcome, no, I wanted to make a definition in the sport. I wanted to make a difference in the sport, right? And
that's a big difference.
That's a big difference, right? I'm not worried about whether I got a hit or a home run or a gold medal or a scholarship or winning a World Series. It was about, can I honor the Lord by being the best that I can be with what he has given me? Not looking to say, I wish I was someone else, you know, or why can't I be like her? Or why can't I? No, I said, I'm going to be my best. And let's see how great I can be by mastering the game, right? I learned it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, and I'm serious about it. Because I redefined success, right? success is being everything you can be, giving it all you have, and your best is good enough, right? It might not be the best you've ever played, but you gave it your best at the time. You walked off the field with no would-have, should-haves, or could-haves. You know, like you weren't like, if I had just dove, maybe I would have got it. Or if I would, and when I was younger, I felt those things, but I always was in tune to what is the Lord teaching me? What can I learn to be better the next time? And then eventually I was to the point, how can I be better the next, not game, not inning, but pitch?
When we traveled together to do clinics, you would tell the story of about knowing your role, understanding your role. And if your job is to take out the trash, take
Be
out
the
the
best
trash.
at it, right?
Be the best at it. Yep, you remember that story.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to 1996, Dot. Talk to me about that home run.
Now, which one? The first?
Yeah, that's what I was
Or
going
the
to say.
last?
Both. I mean, they were both amazing.
I mean, but think about it. I mean, whoever would have thought that I would have hit the first home run of the United States Olympic softball team? Come on.
It was your first at bat, wasn't it?
No, it was my fourth at bat, but it was the first game. But
Right.
you know, I'm a leadoff batter, right? I'm a
Right.
table setter. I can hit home runs, but I don't. That's not. I max out every time. But my focus now, they're talking about attack angles, you know, and launch angles.
Right.
Mine's like, I'm gonna hit a line drive. I'm just gonna rip the cover off this ball. I'm gonna see the center of the ball and rip it. But during the Olympics, I'm telling you, I was swinging out of my shoes, I guess. I had a dream, 3 dreams. You know, 2 of those dreams before the Olympics where I saw myself in a home run over right field fence. The first one was I saw a home run over the dead center field fence, and then the one over the right field fence. Then I saw all of us on the Olympic gold medal podium with Olympic gold. But my first at bat, you know, I got a base hit up the middle, and Julie Smith, you know, bunted me to second, and Lisa gets up. She hits Oppo past the second base into right field, and I round third and score the first run in Olympic history, the way it should be. It's about team, right? It's about team. Imagine if all of us commit ourselves to being the best we can and refusing to be the weakest link, whether it's in your job, whether it's on the field as an athlete, whether it's a coach and, you know, your job in the coaching staff. When that happens, great things happen, right?
That's right.
So for me, my fourth at bat, I'm telling you, Chris, when that pitch was thrown by the Puerto Rican pitcher, because that's who we faced the first, you know, game in the Olympics, I knew it was a dream, baby. I knew it. It was like my eyes got this big, right? And it was almost as though the ball had stopped and said, hit me, right? And so I did. And I mean, in typical leadoff fashion, as I ripped the cover off the ball, right? I swear I saw it off my bat, even though they say scientifically that's impossible. But that was always my goal as a hitter. I'm sprinting as fast as I can, right, to get to first base, not realizing until I looked up, right, that it was going over just like my first dream, over dead center field fence for the first home run in Olympic history. I'm like, what? You know, I mean, it was, like I said, electric. Fans just went crazy. My arms went up in the air because I realized I had just lived.
Margie Wright had to tell you it went over.
Yeah, well, she was at first, right? And she was like, this is the funny thing with Margie. And I'm just going to share really fast, Chris, that why my arms were up, you know, just reaching, realizing I had lived that dream. But really my arms are in the air too. Just the feeling as I rounded second base that I wish that everyone could feel what I was feeling at that moment. And you know what it was? It wasn't about hitting a home run. It was about daring to dream big. When everyone says, oh, you picked the wrong sport because it's not in the Olympics, right? Right? Or, oh, your dreams are too big. You can't be a doctor because no one in your family is a doctor, right? Oh, you're too little to hit a home run, or you're too short to play basketball in college, right? To round the base and feeling, I just wish that everyone could feel this at least once in their lifetime, to realize, like, go for it, man. Just don't hold yourself back. Don't play with doubt or fear or live your life with fear. You know that God says, do not fear. 365 times in the Bible. That's not a coincidence. There's 365 days in the year.
Right.
So don't fear. And it's amazing, Christian, you said you recognize I didn't play with fear. And that is awesome to hear from you, because that's how I felt. But with Margie, the next game, I also got another home run.
Right.
And I remember a reporter saying, "What, Dot, are you going to hit a home run every game?" And you know what? I almost said yes. And then Ralph Raymond, the head coach, said, "No, she's a table setter. That's not her job."
Ralph Raymond, right?
But in the gold medal game, you guys, there I was up to bat. Laura Berg, the future only 4-time Olympian, right?
Right.
You know, in our sport. She's on first base. And I get up to bat. And I knew what this pitcher was going to throw me. I had 2 balls and no strikes. And I knew what she was going to throw me because a few days earlier, facing the Chinese pitcher, with bases loaded and full count, she threw me a changeup. And I never thought that pitch would come. So even though I was embarrassed, right, not just because I struck out, that's part of the game, but how I did, I swear I must have spun around 3 times, right? I just remember going to the dugout and saying, "She beat me this time. I got to go to school."
Right.
Right? This game, you got to learn the game, right? You got to study the game. And so here I am in the gold medal game, Laura Berg on first base, 2 balls, no strikes. And what did I tell myself before I stepped in the batter's box? Wait on the changeup.
It's coming.
I'm going to hit the changeup. If she throws something hard, I'm going to let it go. Advice for all you hitters out there: never swing at a changeup unless you're ready for a changeup or expect it.
Right.
Right? Whenever you have 2 strikes, expect a changeup or something outside, right? You got to wait longer, see the ball longer. Well, I was going to see the ball longer. And when she threw that changeup, right? And it wasn't a guess as much as it was a strategy.
Right.
You know, this is what I'm going to do if she throws it. I mean, I tried to rip the cover off that ball for one reason and one reason only. So she'd never, ever throw that pitch again. Right? It was so good.
Yes.
And I thought the ball was going to go foul. I really didn't care where it went. I just wanted to realize, don't ever throw it again, right? And when I saw it had the distance to go over right field fence, and then I saw it was a foot fair to the fair side of the foul pole, right? The first thing I heard was not the roar of the crowd. They were going like crazy.
Yes, we were.
It was Margie Wright saying, "Run, run." I was like, but I am running, right? Laura Berg, when she saw the ball, had gone over the fence for a home run. She had turned around and started to come running back towards me, right? It was hysterical. And of course she didn't. She ended up, you know, getting around the bases, and as well as I. But that moment is very special to me.
I still have the newspaper of your picture, of your arms up in the air.
Well, you know what made it so special was not just hitting it and living that second dream that helped to materialize the third dream with all of us with Olympic gold for the first time in Olympic history, but it was, look at how Bergie, right? I call her Rookie, how Laura responded.
She'll always be Rookie, yeah.
How do you know that you're on a team, a real team, at work or as an athlete? It's when people can appreciate the moments that everyone has done individually, the hard work, the accomplishments, and celebrate it with them, right? Instead of what we see sometimes, jealousy, right? And, you know, teammates wanting people to fail so that they get a chance to play, or championship teams, championship cultures. No matter the differences everyone might have, no matter that not everyone likes each other, but at least they're going to respect their abilities and their contribution to the team, right?
Oh, this is a perfect message. Exactly, Dot Richardson. I mean, the perfect message. And you can apply that to every aspect of your life.
And you should, right? My parents always said, if you're going to do something, do it right or don't do it at all.
Don't do it.
Right? And the other thing is, Man, you know what has really been special, I think, through the sport and reaching out to fans, and I just pray you have tons of people following you, Chris, because do we all have a servant heart, right? Like, it's about a servant heart. And you've heard there's no I in team and all those cute little things, but really it's about, do you care enough about others to give your best to serve and help others, right? Help them to accomplish their goals, and realizing that your goals will be fulfilled. You know, it's like Jesus Christ said, I did not come to the world to condemn it, right? But to save it. I came to serve, not to be served. Right. And if our Lord and Savior can say that, we can say it as human beings within ourselves, but for others, right? To serve others. And when you get that, you're going to have a championship culture on teams, but also in life.
Exactly. Softball replicates life, replicates, you know what I'm saying, replicates life very easily. I mean, the things that you do on the softball field, you could do with your family, you could do with your community, and you can serve others. And that is what I believe, and obviously you believe as well. Service Absolutely. To others is
life lessons, just preparing us to what is really important. And I have to say this because, you know, I went through when they had just offered scholarships.
Right.
Right. Ann Myers at UCLA, and you got Sue Inquest, and probably about 3 years in was when I was able to get a scholarship. You could not be a professional athlete and be an Olympian, right? I was drafted when I was 15 to the first pro league that Joan Joyce started with Billie Jean King for softball, and I was drafted to Joan Joyce's team, the Connecticut Falcons. Right. And Marjorie Wright played professional, and a lot of others, Sharon Backus, Willie Rose, Nikki Mulder, Stephanie Tenney, I can go on. And that's why I love you doing the show about legends, because you remember the legends, right? I saw them. I wanted to be as good, if not better than them. You know, I remember seeing Chris Evert on TV and like, oh my gosh, I want to play golf. I mean, I want to play tennis. I'm sorry, tennis. And I went after the tennis team. The influence of being able to see and visualize the greats, right? And aspire to be like them or even better. Well, I wanted to be a professional, but if I chose to be a professional at 15 years of age, I wouldn't have a scholarship, and I wouldn't be able to live the dream of being an Olympian at the time. Right now, you can be a pro and you can, but at that time you couldn't. But when you see how far we've come, and I hear a lot of people now, you know, of like, oh, gall, it's not inclusive, or it's not, they have no idea of how long it takes, right? I wasn't allowed to play because I was born a girl.
Right.
And when you look at Title IX, right? And maybe not all is compliant to it, but you look at what has happened and where we are at, and the ability as a female athlete to express your gifts and to be appreciated and money put into it and following you. There's a sense of appreciation, and obviously you strive to accomplish more and more, but there has to be a moment when you look and say, wow, we've come a long way, baby.
Yeah. And the purpose of the show is that we don't forget, because that you have always been so gracious to me. I was there at the 96 Olympics, and I was invited to the party after. The first thing you did was put that gold medal on me. I did not earn that gold medal, but I felt its power and how gracious you've always been. So the first glove, you had the first female glove endorsed, and I believe it was Rawlings.
Well, it's funny that you're here. I got to show. Hold on, right?
Oh boy. You still have the glove.
Well, my husband was like, what are you going to do with it? Well, this was the first design double break glove. Actually, if you can see up top there, right there, the Golden Glove Award I was given, and this was, you know.
That's the glove.
Golden.
You took me to the meeting. I was with you at the meeting, when the design meeting for that glove. And I've always wanted to say thank you for that. I mean,
you're welcome.
Been so gracious sharing.
But Chris, let me tell you, it's not the power of the medal. It was the power of the moment, of someone recognizing which I have always done. It's not about me, right? It's about that Olympic gold medal was for all of us, representing our country, representing our sport. And it takes fans, it takes people who are supporting, it takes athletes who have competed, not one greater than another. We're all one big family in life, the human race. That's what hurts me now when we look and talk about racism and the division that's there politically, and just, Satan loves that. He loves us to hate and have anger. We are one human race, all the same. We are all related. The difference is the shades of our color, right? We're all a shade of brown, all of us.
Right.
Whether the dominant color, that you're darker, to look at me, the recessive, lighter color of brown, but I'm not white, right? I'm not white. But it's about us as a community, like you said. We're all in this together. It's a life. It's a spiritual battle, you guys, between God and Satan. And Satan, I'm telling you, is so real, and his demonic influences through individuals and our feelings. And he, and I feel I have to say that, because think about, Satan was created, right? An angel is a creature, rebelled against God, the creator. And so here he is with a third of the fallen angels, and they're on the earth, and the only thing holding them back is the Holy Spirit within those of us who have accepted Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. But I say that because, I'm not sure when this is going to air. I don't know, but I can tell you that I just want to reach out and say, God loves you. Jesus died for you and me, on the cross to take the burden of our sins, was buried, rose again on the third day. And he has shown us in overcoming death that we have the opportunity in accepting him to live our life with freedom, right? To play in true freedom, that all of us are together. And I just pray the message gets bigger and bigger, but we know in the book of, Revelation what's happening in the past. But I hope that this anger and decisiveness and hatred, people eventually just realize, wait a minute, this is not the way we need to respond and be, right?
You're right. I totally agree. And
doesn't sport teach us that? Do you think about the color of someone's skin when you're playing sports?
No, I get the color of the ball.
Do you think about their lifestyle, or do you think about their choices in life? Or, all of us are sinners and fall short of the glory of God. We're family. We're out there, right? Just being the best we can be, and we have the free will to choose. I say choose God and not Satan. Simple as that. Jesus said, you're either for me or against me.
And God gave you the vehicle of the softball.
Absolutely.
That's your ministry.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
I have a question. So one of the segments that I have is a athlete of today to ask you a question.
Oh, wow.
And Katie Thatcher from the Heartland Havoc, she is in Rock Falls, Illinois. She wants to be in medicine as well.
Fantastic.
She wants to know how you balanced school and softball. And before you answer that, the one thing that I remember a lot of people telling you is that you couldn't do that you couldn't play softball at the level that you played and become an orthopedic doctor, and you are. And I have plenty of memories of picking you up at the airport, you sleeping for 2 hours. So how did you balance that, Dr. Dot? I would like to know that answer as well.
Well, what is her name again?
Katie Thatcher.
All right, Katie, thank you for the question. There is, I'm telling you, no greater opportunity that you'll have to be serving others, and the healthcare is one of those. For me, when I was in 10th grade, I remember, and believe it or not, it was Mrs. Richardson's biology class. It was anatomy. And I say, believe it or not, because of Richardson, I'm Richardson,
Sure.
but we weren't related.
No, not related.
I remember that a girl that was at my lab table said, I'm going to be a doctor. And I was like, can women be doctors? I think I'd like to be a doctor.
Right.
I think I'd like to be a doctor. But I didn't tell anybody at the time, because everyone had said, well, you know, you can't be a doctor. No one in your family is a doctor. You don't know how to be a doctor. No guy's going to want to marry you because you're a doctor and you're smarter than him. And I mean, it takes so long to become a doctor, you know, all those things. But I've realized from the first Olympic gold medal to becoming a doctor that everything that takes time to achieve is well worth it. How sweet it is. I realize that people will fill their lives with whatever is a priority in their life.
Ah, that's a good one.
Right? Put it on a t-shirt. But think about it.
Right.
Think about it. So if you truly want to pursue a career, then pursue it. It's going to take sacrifices, but if you really want it, it doesn't seem like sacrifices.
Right.
Right? I mean, you already talked about how I would fly in and fly back and medical school and, you know, then when I was doing my residency, fly across country and secretively try out for the Olympic team and, you know, those things. And then it happened. I became the centerfold of Sports Illustrated. And so all the guys in orthopedic program at USC recognized what I was doing. And then they gave me a year leave of absence to go for my childhood dream of Olympic gold. But it's really about prioritizing. But also playing in college, I have to tell you as a coach, my priority for these young women is spiritual, growing their faith in Jesus Christ, accepting Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, and being bold about it.
Right.
Because of their confidence they have in the truth. And the second is their career, student athlete. And you'll hear coaches say that, but yet they're like, you better be at practice, you better be at practice. And you can ask our players, I just live that. I mean, the nursing is the toughest thing, right? Their nursing program, but as a doctor, for me to tell them you can't be a nurse, no. So they just realize that they're going to miss some practice, right? It's just the way it is. I'm okay with that. I try and make practice as late as I can to accommodate them, but they might miss an hour of it. But they make it up. Why? Because those that want to be nurses and doctors they're driven. You know, I don't have to worry about them working hard, and you know they're going to do it, and they do it, and I work with them around it. But medical school, all you got to do, right? Undergraduate, pre-med, get the best grades that you can, and doing that. The hardest thing, I guess, would be, you know, when I was at UCLA, is after we get done with a game, I'd have to sprint all the way across campus to get to my lab that started at 5:30 at night, right? And getting done around 8:30 or 9. And I'd be all sweaty in my uniform, and you know how dirty I'd always get, right, from diving and stuff. Especially with Debbie Doom, another legend, Debbie Doom pitching.
Yes.
She always loved to go full count on every batter, even though she could have struck them out a lot earlier, right?
Right.
So the games went pretty long. But the point is that I prioritized the love of the game, but also the drive to be the best that I could be to get into med school. But there's stumble blocks along the way. Like, I didn't do it right the first time. I don't think I applied right. So I didn't get into medical school the first time I applied. And I was like, okay, well, Lord, what do you want with me? And the only job, Chris, I could get was delivering pizza. And it's amazing how the Lord works. If you guys just remove spiritual blindness and say, okay, like, Lord, why is this happening? We may not be able to figure it out at the time, but you look back and realize, for me, I remember 1 month into it. And I got back around 12:30 at night. I'm delivering pizzas, right? And my mom comes in, I'm counting the little like tips I was given. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. You can't stop time. That's 1 month I could have had of medical school completed.
Right.
So I had to go through that. So what I did is say, do I really want to pursue this? So I went to junior college and I became an EMT for that 1 semester to experience the emergency room and being around it more. And I said, I'm going for it. And what happens, I get a call out of the blue to be a graduate assistant assistant coaching at Adelphi University in Long Island, New York.
Remember that.
So got my master's, got my grades up more. I got to coach, which I love. And then I applied to medical school, got accepted to a number of them, went to the University of Louisville, and the rest is history, you know, and I share those stories because how bad do you want it?
Right. I remember watching you running on the treadmill and studying when you were at the University of Louisville.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, how bad do you want something? But listen, Chris, it's about perseverance, right? I mean, I remember I never had chemistry in high school, and I'm at UCLA, and I took chemistry, inorganic chem, and I made a D. D.
Yeah.
So what do? You're around other medical students, you make a D. Well, what did sport teach me? I'm to get better. So I took it again, right? I took it again, and I got a B plus, right? So the question is, what are you going to do when adversity hits you? Are you thinking so much and listening to the world you're not good enough, or you can never be a doctor because you got a D in inorganic chemistry? You know, it's like, are you going to persevere? Are you going to become better? And the other thing, it took studying late at night. You may not realize this, but remember, you know, my 5th year at UCLA, I played basketball, right?
Yep.
And I mean, you talk about time commitment.
Yeah.
And I ran around late at night around UCLA because I needed to lose weight and get to a certain weight for basketball and do what I needed to do. But what did I do? I studied. I only got like maybe 4 hours of sleep, you know, every night. But I was my hardest pre-med classes. But you got to do what you got to do if you really want it bad enough.
So, as we were talking earlier about how I want the kids of today to know of players like yourself from yesterday, why is it that we can't buy a Richardson jersey?
Mm-hmm.
It really bothers me. And you know that because I've been calling you, how can I buy one of your jerseys? Why do you think we can't buy one of your jerseys?
Well, we had talked before this conversation about if you asked, do you know who Babe Ruth is? And even young girls will say yes.
Right.
But do you know who Joan Joyce is, or Lisa Fernandez, or Michelle Smith, or Dot Richardson, whatever, Sheila Cornell, Dowdy, Leah Bryan? And they'll say,
No.
It's all about really marketing, right? It's about promotion. It's about television. It's about sharing the history of the game. And that's why my niece Allison Strange did a lot of interviews with legends of the game as well, and put it out there, and you doing this is fantastic. But you have to be able to have people that are willing to promote it. And I've been talking about, which we kind of done, and maybe Chris, you want to partner with it, to be able to do a virtual online Hall of Fame or Hall of Legends. Absolutely. Right? Because technology is so big right now, and this generation is all into it. Right. That if you can go and you can hear from the legends, you can hear them talk about other legends, the history of the game. Do you know that we played at pitching distance was 40 feet and with a white ball?
With a white ball. Not
a yellow ball? Right. At 43 feet?
I don't know that.
And you're like, well, why did it change? Did you know the first pro league that Joan Joyce and Billie Jean King designed, those players that played, the distance of the pitching rubber from home plate was 43 feet, and they used the yellow ball. So when they got into coaching, they brought that to the NCAA, and that's where we are today. At that particular time when it happened, there's so much of history that, I mean, look at our nation. I mean, destroying the past and want to destroy the past. We've got, our past is not perfect. We're all sinful natured people. But can we learn from the past? And in our game, do our players that play now love the game so much that they want to learn from the past? You know, I've only had a couple players of mine that have come up and said, Coach, how'd you do it? What does it take? What does it take to reach that level? Don't you think all these kids would want to ask Joan Joyce, like, what's the secret? How'd you do it?
Right.
You know, right? You know, I mean, Lisa Fernandez, how'd you do it? You know, how'd you become the best all-around player in the history of the game? Joan Joyce is right up there too, because she pitched, she hit, and she played first, right? But that's why we can't get so into the mechanics of the game, and here's my hitting coach and my defensive coach and my strength and conditioning coach, that you really don't want to absorb what the game can teach you strictly by also watching it and learning from others. right?
Joan Joyce was saying to me that we need to teach the girls the game and let them play the game.
Yeah.
But one of the ways to do that, Dot, don't you agree, is to watch. I mean, the 96 team, in my opinion, is the best team ever to have been put together. And we don't know who those players are.
Mm-hmm.
And people make fun of me for calling me a super fan, which is fine by me. I am a super fan, but I would love to get that 96 team together. I would love to get that. I mean, every single player on that team knew their role and executed their role to perfection. I mean, you guys came out and won the gold medal. I remember every second of it.
Well, I tell you that there's so much talent in the game, and to see it spread throughout the world and all of that, and then here's the stumbling block, we lose the Olympics,
Yeah.
right? But do we persevere through it and we have it back? Then we lose it again, and now we get it back. Well, we will not have softball in the Olympics as of now in Paris.
Because they don't have it.
But we're going to have it when it's back in LA.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, but remember, our goal can't be just achieving something, right? The true achievement, what I have always felt in the 96 Olympics, that it's the most memorable, is I saw a boy and a girl standing together up in the stands because they couldn't get on the stands because security guards, right, were all around the field. They didn't let anyone jump over the fences. But here's a boy and a girl standing together, reaching as far as they could to try and experience the moment. And as they're reaching towards me, right, I'm looking up and I realize, wow, this is awesome.
Right.
This is Olympic, because it didn't matter that we were female athletes or male athletes. It was a moment in time. And from that point forward, where you could feel everyone appreciated athletic talent, no matter what gender. And that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Being denied to be able to play when I was younger. So don't ever take anything for granted, right?
Right.
And the other thing is just don't get so into the technical fundamentals of the thing, as opposed to, as I tell my players, I know I've done my job when I can look and see you all in, playing with freedom, not worried about the outcome, not worrying about letting your teammates down, not worrying about failing, not worrying about what people might say, not worrying about who's watching, playing with freedom because you're living in the moment, one with the ball, and loving every second of the opportunities you get.
Well, you played that game every inning that way. And you have motivated me as a person. I have always enjoyed our conversations. You get me, you make me want to be the best me, no matter what I do. And I absolutely appreciate you taking the time. This is the perfect show. Thank you.
Chris, I tell you, I really appreciate you doing this, because you're right. Every young athlete, every young girl, no matter what sport, should be able to know the legends of their game, particularly if it's in their sport. And so I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate what my niece, is doing with Allison and all of you, that you can't lose sight of history, the good and the bad, because then that's how we learn and we get better.
That's right. Last question. What do you think about a team that's playing 5 games in one day?
Well, I've had a number of athletes who've come to me with shoulder labral tears, with desires of, do I really want to keep playing? Mm-hmm. With injuries that are overuse injuries. So the question is, whenever you play this game and you just strictly go through the motions,
right?
Whether it's hitting off a pitching machine, right? They just hit, and they've lost the sense of, here comes the pitch, right? Here comes the pitch. Whenever you get to that point where it's like, oh, well, we play next week. What's the big deal?
Right.
You're playing too much. right? You're not, and then when it gets to injuries, you're definitely playing too much. This game, the physical skills, it's one of the hardest to play. And but the mindset of a softball player is true athleticism, right? In their minds, they have to be able to overcome doubt and do the hardest thing to do in sport, hit a moving object with a moving object. And they're doing it against a team who's cheating because there's 8 other people out there, so the odds are against them. Welcome to life, right?
Right.
But your mind, that's, you've got to be able to play with such a freedom that you're not worrying about so many things. And when you find yourself playing 5 games in a day and you're just exhausted, or you're like, I think a lot has to do with parents or coaches just want to play more games. Players have to speak up,
Right.
because they're not. I tell our kids, and it's funny, when I tell our team, I said, if your shoulder is bothering you, just say something, because we can practice without you throwing.
Right.
We can get you help and rest with the arm. Same thing with a muscle. If you don't and you hide it, and then it becomes so severe, you might end up having surgery, right? And as an orthopedic surgeon, I can look at the movement patterns and know if somebody's kind of favoring something, but I want them, and I want all of you as a youngster listening, to take ownership of your body, the temple that God has given you, right? Don't abuse your temple, and don't give your temple up, right? Just keep it pure in nature, and like, I have to understand my body and do everything that I can, to push it to the limit, but not to the point where you're just going through the motions, and pain becomes hurt, and hurt becomes injury, and the injury is so severe it requires surgery.
And you don't want surgery. I've had too many of them. I hope everybody has enjoyed this show as much as I have. Like I said,
I do too.
I think you're awesome. I always have thought you were awesome. Next week, I will have Lisa Fernandez.
Oh,
That will be another awesome show. And then Sue Enquist after that. So,
oh my gosh, yeah, you got the lineup.
I need your help getting a hold of Sharon Backus.
Okay, well, she's very shy.
Oh, well.
She does not like attention, that's for sure.
Again, we're not here without a Sharon Backus, right?
You're right.
I'm sure you would give her credit for your career.
Absolutely.
Dot, again, thank you.